future is now.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of my podcast, Next Now. And I want to share something that I share with my clients in my one-on-one coaching sessions. I also share it when I'm doing virtual presentations or when I'm on stage doing a live. And this is a model that is critical to the future of work. And it's one thing to understand me to we as a concept. It's another to really get it at a level that you're actually changing your thoughts and your behaviors in order to be more collaborative or more able to collaborate at higher levels. So the me to we model is something I created over a decade ago around helping us to self-identify where we're thinking or where our mind is at, and then basically self-correct or course correct so that we can shift our communication, we can shift our thoughts, and we can use language that is more collaborative, which is that the we element. So when we're looking at me to we, and I've been, by the way, I've used this model with thousands of people in audiences, but also hundreds in direct one-to-one coaching. And I promise you, it is an eye-opener, and it is something that allows us to be self-accountable in a way that's not sort of self-judging or critical, but really more about helping us coach ourselves to better performance and better behaviors to be better collaborators. So in the me to we model, the me levels are literally when we're taking things personally. When we're in the personal level, we're thinking thoughts like, why am I the only one that seems to be working so hard? Or how come I'm the only one that knows how to do this? Or how come I respond so quickly, but other people don't? So the challenge with being stuck in the personal level when you're in the me mindset is that it doesn't lend itself to collaboration. It also increases our stress, but it also then sort of funnels into one of the biases that I've identified are happening as a result of the hybrid workplace. And that bias is when you're in personal, you're stuck in the importance bias. And the importance bias is what I do is more important. What I have as priorities is more important. And basically, because you think what you have is more important, and because you think your priorities are more important, you are thinking that nobody else matters, which is clearly the me mindset. Now, I know this is a difficult one to even acknowledge because it might make us feel bad about ourselves. We might even feel a little bit ashamed that that's where we spend the majority of our thinking. But I'm here to tell you, I self-diagnose myself to have struggled with this particular, mindset, the personal mindset, throughout a good portion of my career, my early career. And the reason for that is psychologically, the link between our personality style and then also where we land on the me to we scale is linked. But then also our biases are linked to our personality. So it's all layered and it's multi-layered, and it's not as simple as saying, well, because I'm a driver personality, that's why I spend time in personal, or that's why I have an importance bias. But I will tell you, again, after delivering the model with hundreds of people one-on-one coaching and also in audiences, I have seen a direct link between a driver personality, a detailer personality, struggling more with that personal me mindset and struggling more with that importance mindset. So for a driver, it's all about get it done now, high risk, take action, make stuff happen. And so they're wired for that bias of, unless you move as fast as I do, or unless you work the same way as I do, I might not place as much value on how you do your work. Another piece of that is for the detailer personality, who's more analytical. Their bias is around perfectionism. So the detailer might say, well, I've got this priority and I've been told that it's a priority, so therefore I'm more important. I would say detailers also get caught in that trap of who they report to versus seeing everybody on the team, upwards, down, across, as collaborators. So the real value in here in self-identifying whether you're stuck in personal is once you identify it, you can then stretch for the learn level, which I'll get to in a moment. A lot of times the other me level that people get trapped in or get caught in is blame. And especially in chaotic, dynamic, hybrid, fast changing workplaces, I would say blame is something that many of us do. We're all human beings. But people who get stuck in blame will find themselves going around and around and around, the definition of insanity, doing and thinking the same things over and over again, expecting new and different results. And when we're in the blame cycle, we're actually unable to see solutions. We're actually unwilling to hear solutions from others. And a lot of times when we're stuck in blame, we just become so fixed in a perspective that that's also why it's a me level in the Me to We model. The opportunity when we're blaming is to first catch ourselves. So even when we hear the words come out of our mouths, things like, it's not my fault, that's a blame statement. We want to catch ourselves. We want to head that one off at the pass. And that's with the learn level. Again, I'll share more in a second on that. With the blame level, I'm not trying to negate your frustration or your lack of feeling like you've got other people supporting you. It's really about self-awareness and going, am I using blame as a tactic to avoid responsibility? Am I using blame as a tactic to make myself look good or to CYA? And that's the value of this kind of model, is it's a self-assessment, self-coaching model. So as we're all human beings, we're going to rotate through Me to We on a regular basis throughout our days. My goal is to get the people that I work with and the people who listen to my work and who participate in my keynotes and workshops to build the awareness so that we have more people collectively taking personal responsibility for their mindset, and therefore changing the way they communicate, changing the way they collaborate, and in the end, elevating everything for everyone in business overall. That's my ultimate goal. That's my reason d'etre. So if we're catching ourselves at blame, the thing we want to do when we're in blame and personal is the first thing we want to ask ourselves to divert ourselves off in that stuck pattern is to ask ourselves, what am I learning from this? Now, I realize for some of you listening or watching this video, it's a stretch to go there because we want to get stuck in our story of how we're working so hard or how wonderful we are, or we want to get stuck in our story of it's not our fault, if only the government, only my boss, if only so-and-so. And I'm not saying those aren't valid thoughts. I'm saying if we get stuck there, they become unproductive. And guess who suffers the most? We do, because our stress levels go up. So the only way to go is to elevate, and that's to the learn mindset. So I'm at the point after 30 plus years of being a leader and 20 plus years of being a leadership consultant, I'm at the place where I pretty quickly can self-identify and go, okay, what am I learning from this? Doesn't mean I always like it. I might be learning that I handled a situation really poorly. I might be learning that I could have, communicated in a clearer way with my employees. I might have learned that, perhaps I should have spent more time prepping for something. Whatever it is, rather than make it a tool of, self-flagellation, that's not the goal here. It's just an awareness tool. And I don't know about you, but for me, being a leader is about always be learning, every day, always be learning every day. And so for me, that learning mindset's become an integrated piece of how I go through my day. So if I have a situation, for example, I just came back from a business trip to Boston where I was speaking for a group, and, you've got some situations when you're traveling or you can feel your buttons getting pushed, or, maybe the AV doesn't go the way you want it to go. Those are all tension points that are opportunities to elevate to the learn mindset. So for example, when I was doing my session in Boston, the AV guy, really nice guy, Alan, we were having great dialogues about stuff. And then he said something to the effect of, don't you find in the afternoon sessions that some people just tune out or something like that? And the old me, 20 years ago, I would have been like, oh, what are you saying? That I'm not dynamic enough to keep their attention? Like I would have taken it personally, right? But because I've created these models and I practice what I teach, I immediately found amusement in what he said. And in my mind, it's like, Cheryl, what are you learning from his comment? What I'm learning is he's right. The afternoon is a difficult spot. People are tired. They've had lunch. They've already been listening to a bunch of different sessions. And so what I did is allowed it to raise my game. It's like, okay, bring it on. Yes, he's right. All right. Just a reminder that I'm learning that I need to bring on my A game here because it's an afternoon session. So I get motivated by this model because I see it as an opportunity to elevate, to learn. And then from the learn level, sort of the ultimate peak of the Me to We mindset model is the share level. And at the share level, that's where we are, I would say we're in flow, similar to what Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi talks about in his book, Flow, where he says says, when you're in alignment with your talent, your skills, your strengths, and you're enjoying what you're doing and you're present with what you're doing, and you're actually coming at an elevated perspective of how can I share what I know? How can I help people grow? How am I growing from this? Those are all questions in the share level. And how you know you're in the share level is on most days, you feel fairly energized. You don't feel depleted at the end of the day. You don't feel like you're giving all day. You don't feel like you're burning out. You actually feel energized. So although you are contributing highly and giving a lot of output and sharing what you know and helping people grow, you're energized because you're on that learn, share, two-step dance, if you will. And so really what my goal is with this model is to help people see it as the me to we. When I'm in me, it means I've got some biases going on. I might have an importance bias going on, meaning that I feel I'm more self-important than anyone else. I might have a hard work bias going on, meaning I think my way of working is superior to another's way of working. And in today's hybrid, that hard work bias is and I have a previous podcast on this very subject, it's really hindering people from collaborating at higher levels. So even for myself, I have a Gen Z and a millennial working on my team. They both have kids. One has adult kids, one has younger kids. They both prefer to work at night for a lot of the non-urgent tasks. I don't work at night. I'm an early bird. I'm 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. And so what I was getting stressed about was they'd be working at night and I would feel obligated to look at what they were doing. And I realized when I self-examined that I was getting caught up in my personal of why don't they work the hours that I work? And specifically now, as we increase hybrid workplace, but even more than that, as we globalize the workplace and we continue to increase the time zones, this is the new reality anyway. So whether my assistants work nighttime here in my own time zone, or I have a VA in India who's working nighttime when I'm sleeping anyway, none of that should matter. And I had to really re-examine my own beliefs around hard work or when people should work. And I had to follow my own mantra, which is a performance-based culture. In other words, if the work is getting done and the priorities have been established and everything's getting done as requested, then that's all that matters. And I realized for many people, this is a leap in their leadership approach. It is a stretch in navigating the nuances of the new reality of hybrid. But if anything, over the last 2 years that we've learned from the pandemic is that we are all human, that we are more than our work, that we have more going on in our lives than people know about, kids, pets, health, other obligations, people coming to our house to do work, all sorts of things are going on. So we've been, I believe, stretched to accept and tolerate a greater range of what goes on in a human life. So this me to we model is something that, again, I've been sharing with leaders and teams for over 2 decades, but it's something that I really wanted to share in a podcast to have you think about where are you spending the majority of your time? And right now, if you just did a quick self-assessment and asked yourself, where is my mindset most days? That just helps you build that self-awareness. And one of the things that I like to do is set visual reminders. So, I might set a visual reminder on my screensaver or even as a sticky note around my work area to say, focus on learn and share, whatever it might be. But honestly, I cannot underestimate the value of this thinking model in helping us to shift our communication from a we level versus that me level. And on future podcasts, I am going to talk more about what does it mean to consciously communicate from that we mindset? How is it different than what we consider to be regular communication? Hope you got value out of today's podcast. I look forward to hearing any comments you have. And if you want more info, please email me, Cheryl@nextmapping.com. Please also find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all social channels. Take care and all the best to you and we. Bye-bye.